Hey, what is up, everybody? This is K-Rail, Chief Fitness Advisor for Pine Pond Superfoods and Wild Warrior Nutrition. Today I'm going to be running through a series of yoga poses for you. Actually, I'm going to start a little series where I'm going to do a yoga pose video on various parts of the body. So today I'm going to be addressing the lower part of the body, the legs. So we're going to do maybe 4 or 5 yoga poses that you can utilize in your daily practice or anytime you want, really, during the week to help improve the flexibility in your legs. Now, I highly suggest doing yoga poses after you do weight training workouts or long bike rides, long runs, stuff like that. Just spend about 5 minutes doing some yoga and it's going to help keep your muscles lengthened, and it's going to improve your recoveries, and it's going to enable you to do your next workout with more gusto and more strength all around. So we can't speak enough volumes about the importance of stretching and flexibility, and yoga is the perfect way to get that done. Okay. So the first pose I'm going to show you is a downward facing dog, and then I'm going to show you a variation called the Dolphin Pose. So we're going to come on all fours like this. We're going to put our hands right under our shoulders. We're going to hop up in here like this. And what you're going to do is you're going to push your weight back toward your heels, and you want to try to put your heels on the ground if you can. If you can't get them, that's totally fine. And you want to kind of sink your shoulders in and pull your shoulder blades inward and keep your legs as straight as possible. Now, you can also place your forearms on the ground, which is called the Dolphin Pose, which would be this. Now I find this puts a little more tension on my lower calves, known as the soleus. So if you have really tight calves or soleus muscles, I would suggest going in the Dolphin Pose like this. And if you just simply want to get your hamstrings and your calves, go in your down facing dog like that. Okay? So that's a really good one for the back of the legs. Now, we're going to do, the next pose we're going to do is called a not a dolphin pose, because we just did that. This is called a pigeon pose. So what we're going to do is this. We're going to bring our leg across the front of our body and try to get our shin about perpendicular to our body if possible. I can't quite get it there, but ideally, that's what you want. Now, our other leg, see I'm sneaking my other leg backwards? I'm sneaking it back, and now I'm flattening my back foot like this, and I'm just going to sit up tall like this. So this really gets a good stretch on the glutes, but it also hits the hamstrings here and your hip flexors on your opposite leg as well. So this is a pose that you want to hit on both sides, and again it's called the pigeon pose. So I'm doing my right side right now and my left at the same time simultaneously. It's just that 2 parts of your body are getting stretched at once. And then we're going to switch sides, kick this leg forward. Again, try to get this perpendicular if you can, but if you can't, just go at an angle like this. And you also can get a yoga block and put it under your butt cheek right here and sit on it to give yourself a little bit more bracing. And then walk this foot back and then press this leg down into the ground, and then you get the hip flexor on this side. See that? And if you want a little more special sauce, lower your forearms to the ground like this. And if you really want some sauce, extend your arms out and put your head down like this. Woo! That's really going to light up your hip flexors on one side and your glutes on the other. So that's a really good one right there. Okay, now we're going to come back to a standing position. So what we're going to do now, it's called an extended triangle. So this is going to get the inner thighs. So what we're going to do is stand with our feet about 3 to 4 feet apart, and we're going to kind of windshield wash our one foot outward like this, so it's perpendicular to your body. Turn your other foot in slightly, and now we're going to press our hips this way, keep this leg straight, and we're going to put our hand on the inside of our thigh and lower ourselves down like this. So right now I'm feeling a massive stretch right here on my inner thigh. And we're going to hold here. And you want to form a straight line from this hand to this hand, and try to keep your shoulders in line with your hips the whole time. That integrity is very important, so you don't want to be like hunching forward like this. Okay? Nice and open and broad. And then we'll just turn your foot this way, turn your other foot this way. Hips this way, straight leg, hand on the inside of your thigh here. Lower yourself down as far as you can. Pull your shoulder blades back, shoulders in line with your hips. And then hold. And you may find, I guarantee you will find, that you're going to be tighter on one side of your body than the other. Okay, that's your extended triangle. Because I'm definitely tighter on this side. Okay, now, what you can do is you can easily and craftfully go into a wide angle forward bend. So now what we're going to do is just turn our feet forward like this. You can even walk your feet out a little bit. Push your hips back, keep your back as straight as you can. Lean forward, reach to the ground. See if you can get to the ground with your hands or your palms. And if you can't, grab a hold of your shins and then pull actively downward. So you're really going to feel a nice stretch on your hamstrings here and your inner thighs all rolled into one. And I go a little wider. It is called a wide angle forward bend. Remember that. So you can keep going wide with your feet and just keep walking them out, you know. And as you take a few breaths, you'll find that your flexibility is going to improve as well. Right there, that's a good one. Hamstring, inner thigh. Okay. Now, we're going to come into a half kneeling side twist. So what we're going to do is this. We're going to come into basically a lunge position, but we're going to have our knee on the ground. And we're going to lean forward like that. And now you can just put your hands on the ground like this. And you can also get a little back twist into it by putting your elbow over your thigh and going like this. Well, right now what's happening is I'm feeling a nice stretch in my hamstring here and my hip flexor here. So you can just put your hands on the ground like this. So it's just a half kneeling position is what I call it. And then you can switch sides. When we get to the yoga poses where I'm starting to talk about back and stuff, we'll probably go more into the twist and like this, but just know that you can go into a mutual thing right here where you can do a back twist and get your hip flexors and glutes and hamstrings all rolled into one with a stretch like this. Okay, now I got one more for you. We're going back into this half kneeling position, but now instead of kneeling, what we're going to do is this. We're going to extend our legs straight like this. We're going to ground our heel, point our toes up, and we're going to walk this foot forward as far as we can, and then we're just going to lean forward and try to put our hands on the ground. So right now I'm feeling a monstrous stretch on my hamstrings here. And if you want to walk this leg back a little further, you totally can do that as well. And you get a little more hip flexor on your right side, or your opposing side, and your quadriceps as well. And then we'll hit the other side, which is also important, because we want symmetry, right? Remember to always do both sides of the body if you're doing unilateral yoga poses. And you may not be able to touch the ground here. I've trained hundreds of clients that cannot even touch the ground with this pose. And if you can't, then just come up like this as far as you can and kind of just lean forward a little bit to get a little more emphasis on your hamstrings. But I am lucky enough to touch the ground. And I do have long limbs, I understand that. Okay, now we're just going to do one more. Forward fold. So you're going to bring our feet together. We're going to reach up in the air like this. Make a big swoop. Try to push your butt back, keep your back as straight as you can. Reach down toward your toes. So you don't want to go like this, like Frankenstein from 1974, Young Frankenstein. You want to try to keep your back as flat as you can and reach your hands down like this. And then pull actively down like this with your hands, where you grab your shins or whatever. And if you can't get to your toes, that's totally fine. You're going to feel the stretch right here. That's the most important thing. There's no ego allowed in yoga. There's no ego allowed, period. Especially in yoga. Just know that. And then you're going to hold. I believe this is actually called Utkatunasana, if you want to get fancy. We just call it forward fold. Okay, so there's some stretches you have, some yoga poses you have to work with that are going to stretch your hamstrings, your quads, your hip flexors. And I always suggest holding each pose for a minimum of 30 seconds. I like to hold them even longer, like 45 to 60. I kind of call it dessert posing because it feels really good on your body. So in the evening when you're watching TV and you're just chilling out and kicking back, throw in some yoga poses. You always have time to do something, even if it's 5 minutes a day. Remember that. So, with all that being the case, give those a try. Let me know if you have any questions or comments. My name is Kevin Rail, also known as K-Rail. I am the Chief Fitness Advisor for Pine Pollen Superfoods and Wild Warrior Nutrition. Make sure to like and share our videos and please subscribe to our page. Until next time.